Yay! Good morning and welcome to our second episode of The Art of Healing with the lovely Caroline and Lucy. Lovely Lucy and lovely Caroline. So this week, me and Caroline, we don't usually do this. We just kind of wing it, don't we? We're very wing it.
Spend my
Let's
whole
see
life
what
winging it.
yeah, let's see what comes up. But we definitely had a little pre-chat this morning about what should we talk about this week? And I know for both of us, because we talk so much in between these calls, we have a lot to say. And we've been talking a lot, haven't we, at the moment, around surrender and acceptance and following the fun and the joy. Um, and I think for both of us in different ways and different areas, we've been experiencing that on a whole new level, like a deeper level. I know for me, there's been some real kind of life experiences that have been coming up to help me see that in a different way. And we've been talking about that a lot this week. So we thought it would be a really good little topic. And we kind of came up with, well, I'm definitely stealing it a bit from Byron Katie, if any of you know her, but loving what is, which I suppose is acceptance and surrender to everything that's coming your way. And I know for me, and I want to ask you about this in a minute, Caroline, but I think that sometimes when something, let's say, taxing or that looks really difficult to deal with and accept, it's like the hardest thing is to do that, isn't it? Like we're being asked the hardest thing to accept that, and it really feels like you want to say no, go away, leave me alone. I'm not going to swear. I was going to swear then, and then I thought, no, wait.
I think you should
But no,
swear.
yeah. But it
Yeah.
does feel like that. It does feel like you want to say no, fuck off. I can't. I'm not going to accept that. And I do you get this as well, Caroline? It feels to me like yes, but if I accept, that means I'm going to get more of it, and it's almost like I'm saying to the universe, okay, then give me what it is I don't want. Whereas I think we have that backwards, and I think in
Yeah.
the acceptance and the loving and like kind of like holding the space for love for whatever it is that's going on for us, it actually has the opposite effect to what we think.
Oh, 100%. Because when you're
Yeah.
resisting something, you're giving it more focus. So you're focusing on that thing you don't want through your resistance rather than just allowing what is. And then you're not really focusing on it because you just allowed it and you're like, I'm just going to see what happens. So you're
Mm,
releasing it. It's not your focus. So yeah, definitely. I think
yeah.
resistance just creates more of it. Definitely.
Yeah. I think that's what I was thinking about this morning as well, with the resistance is the other key word, isn't it, there? Whereas if we're not in acceptance, that's the only thing we can be in. We're feeling resistant to what is. And I think the more we're aware of that stuff that's going on, the more of those little things, like for me anyway, like pings up in my head every so often, like just the tiniest things will be like, oh, you're being resistant there. And I'm like, oh yeah, so I am. Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't see that.
You're just
And like,
resisting the flow of life, aren't you?
yeah,
Making yourself miserable.
yeah. Because we're so used to um like I call it being a victim.
Yeah.
Like we're so used, and I think that's what resistance is. We're so used to being like, well, I don't want that, and and no, 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 and as you say, like putting the focus on resistance rather than focusing on the joy and the fun and the things that we love.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I don't know if you want to share a little bit. If you don't, it's fine. But if you want to share
Yeah.
what's
I
been
think
going on for you around the acceptance this
I
week.
think as well though, a large part of it is expectation as well. I think I like an example I always think of is like the weather. So I mean, I know a few years ago I would
Yeah.
like always obsessively check weather for everything, like if you're gonna do something, I know what the weather's gonna be like, blah blah blah. And then if the weather isn't how you expect it to be, therefore you can't have a good time. But that's just bullshit, isn't it? That's my
Mm.
expectation rather than just saying what is. I mean, regardless of what you would like it to be. I mean, yeah, okay. Like my wedding day, would I have liked it was August? Would I have liked a lovely sunny day for my wedding day? Ideally, if I could choose it, yes. pissed it down with rain. Actually, I'm lying, it was sunny right until 11 o'clock when I left to go to the wedding, and then the heavens opened. We'd set a marquee up, like we got married and then had our reception in the pub. We'd set this marquee up in the back garden with all these twinkly lights. It was like the sinking of the freaking Titanic. It just collapsed under. There was so much rain. It was just, we all ended up huddled in this room, and then we took the pub over. But it was like the best day ever.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I couldn't change that. You can't change it. Yeah, I would have liked sunny, but it wasn't. So you just, we had really interesting wedding photos. We were in front of, like, it was an old pub, so we were in front of the beautiful fireplace. And it was just completely different. Not what I had planned, not what I wanted, not what I expected. But we just allowed it, enjoyed the fact that I was marrying the love of my life and my soulmate, and that was what was important, not all that other shit. And I could have
Yeah.
made myself really miserable over all that, but do you know what? It just was. So I
Mm.
just think it's these expectations of things that we place on it. We just make ourselves so unhappy rather than just surrendering to actually what is in that moment, because we've got no control over those things. I don't know why we try to
That's
control them.
And I love that you started with the weather there, because I think you listened to, oh, you like Michael Singer as well, and we both read the Surrender Experiment last year. And when I listen to him, he always says things like, it might look like a very small thing, but start with things
Yeah,
like the weather. And
yeah.
it's really cool, because like that's the same with my cold shower thing that I do. So in the mornings, I do my normal shower and then have the cold shower at the end for a minute and a half. And every time I do it, my mind says things like, oh, don't bother today, Lou, it'll be all right. And that's where I play with it. It's tiny, but I'll be like, nope, we're turning it cold, because I want to see the places where I can kind of overrule my mind and follow, I guess, the intuition and the feeling of what I really want, and seeing that we don't have to listen to the resistance and stuff,
I
you
think it's
know.
better to start small. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
it's not saying don't wish for best outcomes, or
Mm,
don't wish for the things, but it's just not being tied to it. You can want something to be a certain way, but it's just not having your whole emotions, identity, and feelings about it tied to it being that
yeah.
particular way. I
Yeah.
think that's the key. You can
Yeah,
expect
like,
the best, sorry, but just whatever happens, happens, and you just got to flow with it.
yeah. And the thing I love around that as well, Caroline, is I can't ever explain this in words, but there'll be a feeling inside of me around, I know if I've got, if there's something I want and I've got my heart set on the outcome has to only be a certain way, or if I've got my heart set on, um, I don't mind what happens, and I genuinely don't mind what happens with the outcome. The feeling inside of me is so much more peaceful and light, and then it doesn't kind of stop you from carry on doing things. Otherwise, if you've got your heart set on this outcome, your mind is just like, oh my god, when's that gonna happen, and your mind is just racing and you
You're
can't
in the
think
how.
straight.
You're in the how
Yeah.
rather than,
Yeah.
honestly, it's brought me so much peace just releasing all those things that we just don't have control over them. And in relationships, so I mean, obviously, my husband Paul is the love of my life. We have a great relationship anyway, but I've really found that it's got so much, like, even better since I've released that control over even
Mm,
how he is. I think, like I've said to you before, like I used to. So he loves to sit
yeah.
and binge watch TV. I mean, I personally can't do that. He loves to do it on his days off. He works hard. He's entitled to do whatever he likes. But he would sit there and watch TV, and I'd find myself feeling annoyed with him.
Yeah.
And then because I was trying to control it. I realised after a lot of soul searching, it's more being annoyed with myself, because I would feel guilty sitting down all day,
Yeah.
and therefore I was like projecting that feeling onto him. But I found, you know what, if he wants, I think we're going to tie into I know the whole Let Them thing's a big thing at the moment, the Mel Robbins Let Them, which I listened to the podcast
Yeah.
last year. And if you haven't, then you should definitely listen to it because it's brilliant. But you know what, if I just let people do what they're doing, that is their stuff. That's nothing to do with me. I mean, don't get me wrong, if there's something to do, he would do it. But if he just wants to spend his day off sitting watching, like binge watching some horrendously awful, loud, obnoxious thing, let him. You know what? It's like, why am
Yeah.
I making myself
Yeah.
miserable and him miserable, trying to
Yeah.
control something that's not my business?
Yeah. Because it looks like, doesn't it? It always looks like it's not to do with us. It's the other person,
But it
or
wasn't.
a
Yeah.
situation outside of us.
No,
Everything,
it was me.
yeah, it looks like there's an outside, whether it's a person or a circumstance, it always looks like our feelings are coming from something outside of us.
I'm making myself miserable. What am I expecting to do? A song and dance for me? I don't really know. I'm usually in my room painting. I don't know what I'm expecting them to do.
I
But do you
know.
know, I mean, why am I making myself? But since I've like just like
Yeah.
let him do what he wants to do, and I feel our relationship's got even better because I just think sometimes, especially maybe as a woman, you're so used to trying to control everything because you're
Yeah.
juggling all these plates, you're balancing everything. If you've got kids and a family and a job, and you're cleaning your house, you're trying to balance it all. And then suddenly, I suppose for me as well, my kids are older now. They've left. Well, say I've still got two. You've not got quite that same level of maybe people needing you or doing it, and all of a sudden you're a bit like, oh, hang on a minute, what am I now doing?
Yeah.
And so you're still trying to grasp onto that control maybe that you had before.
Yeah, it is. It's I just think that key thing is about the control and about how we think there must be a version of we're not safe or we're not okay if we're not getting what we want in that way. And in that way, we then try and set everything up and kind of control it, thinking that's going to keep us safe, I guess. And
Yeah,
when we realize that we're already safe, like we're built whole and complete, like we're born whole and complete, we're born with everything that we need inside of us to live in this life and to thrive in life. And yet we don't understand that because we're so used to the beliefs that we've kind of been brought up
yeah,
with, I suppose. And smashing through those is what helps us um, release that control and see where we're being resistant, which is the same as control, really, isn't it? All of
oh,
these words kind of have the same feeling. But I know for me, that's been a big thing as well. Like, I haven't had a partner that I've lived with for quite a long time. um, but I obviously live with some of my family members now. And I see repeat patterns in myself living with them as I did years ago before I knew any of this stuff. And when I lived with my ex, and I used to be the same as you with Paul, and I'd be like, why are you just bloody watching TV all day? Because she was like that. She used to just love sitting around. And obviously, we attract these people to learn this stuff about
I think
ourselves.
mine, I mean, I've learnt mine's because I was tying my
Yeah.
worth up with productivity because of a lot of my upbringing, and I think the way society is, it's so tied in. Unless you're hustling and striving and doing something, rather than just being, unless you're doing, you're not a productive member of society. You're lazy. I mean, I've been told so much through my life through various people. I
Yeah.
was lazy and I was this and I was that, and then you take all that in. So mine was tied up with I'm not worthy unless I'm being
Yeah.
productive. And then that spilled over to obviously when Paul's sitting around not doing anything, I felt that I couldn't do that. So then I
So
kind of
yeah,
got to be annoyed with him over it, but it's actually nothing to do with him, bless him.
it makes complete sense, doesn't it? When we do those take those steps, I think, and start looking inwards and seeing where all of this is actually coming from.
Yeah, what's it triggering in me? Why is that triggering
Mm,
something in me? What is that
yeah,
telling
and
me?
often we often don't want to look at that. I think there's
It's easier to blame someone else, isn't
yeah, it's
it?
easier to project and put the blame on someone else, and it takes a lot of guts, I suppose, and bravery and that kind of thing to say, hang on a minute, where is this me? But that, if we're brave enough to do that, that's where the power is, because then we can change from that awareness of this has got to be something to do with me. And even the places where it's like, well, this isn't to do with me, look again. Let's have a look again and see. Um, and
Because
I
you'll have
think
so
that,
much less resentment in your relationships. I just think we just make
yeah,
it hard for ourselves. I mean, it's just had so much more peace since I've just learned to let go. I mean, we're not saying this is an excuse for obviously any kind of behaviour that's not acceptable. It's just in a day to day. It's about you, isn't it? That's how we're saying it. Not in sort. It's not about
mm,
unaccept. It's not saying you should accept behaviour that's not you know right or anything, but I just think
yeah.
things like, where are you trying to control relationships and outcomes and what goes on?
I think just to elaborate on that with like accepting things, um, maybe like abusive relationships or that kind of thing. Um, I know for me, what I see at the moment currently around acceptance, surrender, any of those things is it's a personal feeling and a journey for you in every moment. And there's no like, right, what you must do is accept everything and then you're going to be okay. It's a kind of like dipping your toe in, isn't it? And going, right, how does this feel for me right now? If I accept this, what is that going to mean? And sometimes acceptance isn't just let's accept what's going on, accept that I can't be in this situation right now. That's acceptance as well. You know, if you are in an abusive relationship or anything, I've been in an abusive relationship with alcohol and myself. And the acceptance, sometimes the first step is to accept where you're at. And that is the acceptance and the surrender. And to accept that this isn't okay. That's all acceptance as well. There's no kind of prescription to do this the right way. It's just following our own feelings and what's right for us in each moment.
Yeah, I mean, I was in an
Not,
emotionally, mentally abusive relationship. Yeah, and I think you do.
yeah,
Sometimes you just you kind of think that's the way it is, but yeah, then you get to that point where you think, do I actually want to accept this behaviour?
yeah, exactly. And I think like touching back on when we were first talking, when we started saying about this, the resistance and the accepting things that are hard for us. One of the things that's been coming up for me this week, and I know I've been chatting to you about, is like I get physical pain. I did talk about this. I am going to do like a shameless plug now as well for our conference last year, because I talked about this on our conference last year. And one of the good things about all of this kind of stuff is there's so much in person in the room when we do our conference to listen to all of this kind of stuff. It's just an incredible 3 days. And I know you're coming for the first time this year, Caroline. And it will be really interesting for me to talk on stage again this year and probably share some more around what's going on for me with this physical pain and tension that I've been experiencing, and the difference from last year to this year and where I'm at with it. And what I see around this, and please bear with me on this a little bit, because this is all really fresh for me, like really fresh. And sometimes I really struggle with trying to express the words around this because it's personal to me and it's such a deep feeling for me around what's going on here. But what I'm experiencing at the moment is accepting the pain. And what I see I've been doing is pushing it away. Every time I get into some kind of tension or physical pain, what I see is it's my body. It's actually an incredible system, I think. Personally, I think I've
It's telling you
seen,
something, isn't it? It's telling you something.
yeah, I've seen something new around it, and I'm having a shift around it as we kind of explore this and speak. Um, and what I've seen around it is, what if the pain, the tension, whatever you want to call it, is what if I just love that? Like, it sounds mad to me to even say that out loud. Like, I don't want to love it. Fuck off. I don't want this pain. Go away. I don't want it. And I'm so frustrated and angry about it. I got so tied up with it and really pissed off about it last week. And then within hours, within not even 24 hours, I'd found this shift happened inside of me around it. And I was like, oh my God, what if I hold this space of love and say thank you for my pain? Like, it is telling me something. It's telling me to stop racing ahead, to stop trying to control everything, to stop trying to think that everything is on you, Lou. Relax. And I can hear that now in a way that I couldn't hear that. But oh my God, does it feel like the hardest thing to accept it and love it? And genuinely accept it and love it and be grateful for it, not just be like, oh yeah, all right then, cheers for the pain. I genuinely feel like thank you, because oh my God, it is showing me something. I can't even express it
No, do you
anymore
know
than
what?
that, but
I think it's like fear as well. It's like when I
yeah,
think when you start on this journey, you often do a lot of what people call shadow work, I suppose. But it's not about getting rid of the shadows, the fear, the pain.
yeah,
It's about loving all those parts of you because they are a part of you. So it's about seeing your fear and loving your fear because your fear is trying to tell you something. It's trying to keep you safe, or it's trying to tell you something. It's showing you the way. I think your body just knows. So it's just about loving all those parts of yourself, whether it is fear or whether it's pain. And I think that's
Yeah.
the lesson we need to learn.
I really liked that when you said that to me the other day on the voice message, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. I didn't see it that way. It's just another part of us and a part of my journey at the moment personally, for me to love all this about me as well. Like, whereas I see the difference in the days where I've got pain or tension that comes on, if I'm not frustrated by it, it's so much easier. Like, the frustration and all the judgment and the thinking that we have about it, like the
And you're not fighting.
non-acceptance,
It just
yeah,
is. It
it's
just is.
fighting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fighting. And what does that do? It keeps it in place. We know what we resist persists. And it's easy saying these phrases, isn't it, Caroline? But we don't know it and see it until we really experience it. And that's what's been going on for me the last couple of weeks. And I just can't believe how grateful I am. And I'm like, yeah, bring it on, universe. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to heal
The thing
from
is,
love.
I think, don't get me wrong, I think life's
Yeah.
joyful and playful, but you cannot have one thing without the other. You can't have, if you didn't have dark, you wouldn't have light. So you cannot not have these parts of you that you maybe don't like or love. You've got those parts regardless. So you've just got to love all of them, because you can't have one without the other. They're just
Yeah.
all a part of the person you are. So it's
Yeah.
just accepting and loving all of that.
Yeah. And I think I've been seeing it as and thinking it's my job to get rid of it, to get
Yeah.
rid of the pain. Like, genuinely, that's what I thought it was.
Or
I was
get rid
like,
of the
oh,
fear, or get rid of whatever it is.
yeah.
Yeah, rather than just loving it.
Yeah. But when we love it and accept it, because if that is coming from a genuine place, a bit like the outcome thing, it doesn't matter if it's there or not.
Yeah.
Because how can it, if we've loved it and accepted it, if we genuinely
Like,
accept
I've been
something?
trying to, like, sometimes I'll wake up at night and then I'll worry quite often. Like, my thing I tend to worry about more than other things would be to do with money. But
Yeah.
rather than getting upset and frustrated with myself, and even rather than trying to think good thoughts, I'm just saying, like, that's okay, I love you. It's like almost speaking to that, like, inner scared child part of yourself and going,
Yeah.
it's okay, I love you, you're safe. It's like, it's just about loving that part of you as well, rather than trying to push it away or deny it, because it's there. And once you
It's
shine a light on it, I think everything's
it's
easier.
it's so good, isn't it? It's so, like,
Mm.
oh, I just can't believe that we're getting this experience. I don't know about you, but I'm just like buzzing from this. I can't believe I'm buzzing about the pain and the tension. I'm like, yay, this is so good.
Bring it
Because it's just
on.
another part of, like, this to me, like the pain and the stuff that I've been having has been and going on and off for a few years. And it feels to me like this is what I had with the drinking. Like, the drinking was 24 years. And then it took me 8 years to get to a place of stopping. And I'm like, this is the same thing. I can feel it. It's another invitation to accept and love and grow and change and expand from this. But it's not as, I think the more we get into this stuff and the more we're aware and the more our things come up for us, they're not as intense and we can get through them better, and we grow and learn, don't we? So this to me is like, yay. Whereas, like, with the alcohol, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be hard. And I'm not
Yeah,
like that with this now. I'm like, yay,
you're just in a different space with it.
I
I
want to
think,
explore it and be,
but we
yeah.
also put so much pressure on ourselves. Like, if I have a day sometimes, or like the beginning of the week, I had a couple of days I just wasn't feeling it. I was a bit meh. And then
Yeah.
whereas before I'd have pressured myself to, like, oh no, you need to feel good. And then you'd be like, oh, I don't know why I feel like that, because, like, I haven't really got anything to feel like that about. And, like, other people are so much worse off than me, blah, 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 blah. But, at the end of the day, sometimes you do just feel like that, but that's okay.
And
That's
that's,
okay.
yeah, and
You
that's
can. I'm
the
not saying,
acceptance there.
you just got to accept that is just the way I'm feeling today. Be that little bit more loving and kind to yourself. And I just find things like that, like I came round from it in a couple of days. I just think we put so much pressure on ourselves, maybe to be perfect all the time as well, and to
Yeah.
have it all sussed and know what I mean. I still
Yeah.
don't know what I'm fucking doing. I never know what I'm doing. Very rarely.
I feel like it's a good day if I've got up, had a shower, and have my breakfast. Like, woohoo, she's on it.
Yeah, I'm
And that's
succeeding
good.
at life if I've managed to get dressed and maybe tidy my hair up.
And that's
What
the
are
thing
the
that I love.
success?
Like,
why is success like, I don't know, people just, what, I don't know. What,
That's what I was going to say, is like, what I love about this is we come at this from playful, light-hearted, fun, curiosity, like this is life. This is a playground. We are children exploring this playground. Like, let's do it from that energy instead of the pressure. And it
yeah,
doesn't mean we haven't both still got awesome businesses and we're doing really well in our lives and whatever, but like, we don't have to do it from a pressured place and a right, we've got to do this. We can do it from
a
playful,
gentler
light-hearted.
place, I think, a gentler
Yeah,
space. I mean, I worked in childcare for like nearly 20 years, and kids, you know, you look at kids and they've got it sussed. They've got it
they
sussed.
just feel, and they don't not feel everything. They don't not
No,
feel, they feel
but they
everything,
don't
and
get
then they're like,
attached to
oh
that feeling.
yeah,
They're not like so
not
intact.
attached.
It doesn't take over their whole lives. We get so
Exactly,
like integrated
exactly.
with our feelings.
Yeah,
It's like fear. We end up, when you're fearful about something, actually you're having fear. You're not fear. We get
no,
so into it that we think we are fear, but you're not. You're just feeling it. That's your
yes,
experience. You're having fear. You're not that fear. So
yeah.
once you realise it's just that feeling,
We
you
know
know,
it can pass,
yeah,
because like the way I see it is that we are the capacity for all of the feelings. So
yeah,
it's like we aren't who we think we are. we are we're love at our core, and then we have the capacity to feel and think things that are just, that they're just energy, and it passes, and the more that we see that, the less we get taken in by it, which is what I'm seeing around the same thing with the tension and the pain. It's
yeah.
like, oh, you don't have to buy into it. You can be like a child, like, oh yeah, cheers for screaming, like kicking off pain, but thanks very much.
It's
I
like
love
it's,
I
it's
love you.
resistance, isn't it? It's like, I think, was it
Yeah,
Bruce Lee who said about resistance? It's like water. Like water doesn't resist; it just flows around everything. If
yeah,
it hits a rock in the stream, it doesn't like bash against it trying to get. It just flows. It just finds another way and flows round. So it's
yeah,
just about being like that, more like just
yeah,
live with life.
yeah. It's good. I just think it's really good, and I think we get these things that come up for us because this is where we need to learn. So this is where, I quite often get into my victim mode. Why do I have to have this pain? It's not fair.
Yeah,
I can't do anything. It makes me, I need to go and lie down and I can't get on with my day and blah, 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 blah. And to me, it's like, I don't want to feel like that. I'm not saying I need to be the best all the time, but I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to be a victim to something when I don't need to, when I know I can I can accept it and love it. And I know that what happens for me is this has come along because the universe, in my mind, this is how it works. The universe is inviting me to see something deeper here and heal on another level. And I'm like, bring it on, I'm ready.
you're
Let's
there
go.
for it.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah, I mean, God, no, you know, sometimes it's like 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. It's like you can, and you know, even if you
Yeah.
know this stuff, it's still so easy to get sucked into the either victim mode or just completely consumed by whatever it is, whatever your thing is, either pain, fear, whatever it is. It's so easy. And also, I think sometimes I can get frustrated with myself, and I think, God, I've had like 50 odd years of thinking and feeling this way. So why I expect I can get over it all in like,
5 minutes.
well, yeah. I don't know, you know.
Yeah. No,
I just think it's just a lifelong,
it's awesome, isn't
lifelong
it?
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I really like this conversation. I've enjoyed it today.
Yay. Quite impressed we haven't managed to run over each other too much because we're both cappers.
It's been good. I think really that kind of concludes it, doesn't it, for today? Yeah, and I know we were saying earlier that obviously doing this YouTube channel, The Art of Healing, we are talking about all aspects of healing from the inside out, and that being connected to our creativity and our art as well. And we're going to put the links for both our website if you want to have a look at our art underneath, and the conference that I mentioned previously. And I'm actually sat in Deb's place today. Who's my auntie who
It's going to be
is
amazing.
like the
I
head
can't
of the
wait.
Dare to Be You, being you, waking up to what's possible conference that's happening in March. So I'm going to put all the links on the bottom of this video for that, and for Caroline's art and my art, and yeah, hopefully we might see some of that art at the conference this year as well. So But yes, I really loved it today, Caroline. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks with our next subject. See you then, guys.
Bye.